we got the breeds, trial spawners, trial chambers, and even a new secret key. Hello there, Ray here, and in this new snapshot we got all the cool things related to the trial chambers, plus a sneak peek at what armadillos will look like. Let's take a look at all the cool loot and features that it adds into the game. We got the new trial chambers added into the game. These are procedurally generated structures, meaning each structure is going to be a little bit different. You can find them midway down in the world, over here in the overworld, and they currently don't have any connection up with any caves. And these chambers are relatively common throughout the deep slate layer of the world. They're made up of the new tough blocks as well as new copper blocks that we've been seeing. Now these new structures in the game contain a couple different things. They contain traps, reward chests, and a variety of combat spaces. Now it's called trial chambers because it contains a lot of different chambers, and each chamber is a little bit different with the different types of reward chests. Other chambers lead you deeper and deeper into the whole area, with some of the deepest ones being the most challenging rooms. Now these rooms that contain the actual trial spawners can be found in 3 different categories. There's these 1 rooms here which have the range category. This includes stray skeletons, and also skeletons with poisoned arrows can be found in here. The blocks that are beside these spawners kind of hint at what is going to spawn inside of them. So like the ice means that we're going to get some strays out of these, where the Chiseled Tuff block is the breeze spawner. But when you first enter these rooms, you can't actually see what's inside the spawner, so that's why the blocks beside them are a nice little hint. The second theme you can find are the melee ones, and the melee ones come with husk, zombies, as well as slimes. You can see the husk because of this sandstone here. Now the third category is small melee. This includes spiders, cave spiders, baby zombies, as well as silverfish. So with the spawners that have like cobble and moss cobble, that's going to produce your baby zombies, one of the small melees. This is really cool, so you can actually make farms that are specific to different mobs. Because in the past, if you wanted to get like tons of baby zombies, such as getting like super rare variants of these, you'd have to sort them away from other zombies. And more recently, when it came to normal zombie spawners, they wouldn't produce stuff like husk, and skeleton ones wouldn't produce strays anymore, even if you had them access to sky. So now you can actually farm up husk as well as strays without having to give them sky access. Plus we have really unique mobs such as like the slimes, which actually produce some useful items, the slime balls, so you can make farms with those. But like the spawners with the bone blocks are the skeletons. And these skeletons can have poisonous arrows, which would be really cool to actually harvest them, so you can actually farm up poisonous arrows. Here's what the cave spider spawner looks like. Got cobwebs around it and everything. Spiders have the webs and stone, and silverfish comes with the ones with stone brick. And the slime one has the moss around it. It's going to be really fun to design farms for this. Now whatever category you find in a single type of trail room structure, those same mobs will be found throughout it. So like we're seeing strays in this one, so it doesn't matter which one we go to. The range mob throughout this entire trial chambers is always going to be the stray mob. And the melee mob is always going to be a husk. So if you want like a slime spawner, you can't just choose any one of these structures, but instead find one that actually has slime spawning. Now there is even these like little hidden passageways. So there's one right here. So you can actually go through this passageway and then come out over here. Isn't that cool? It connects this room up with this room, even though they are pretty far apart. There's even some cool parkour rooms. We have to jump across all of these things while fighting these guys. Let me know what you think about the trial chambers. Let's take a look at the different types of loot. There's stuff that's inside of barrels, stuff inside of pots, and also chest loot. These are called resupply barrels, and they contain blocks to help you navigate the structure. You can see we get some emeralds out of this. Here we got some lapis. This one gave us some arrows. Now the chests that are being protected by the spawners have better loot. There's even this room that has like a moat around it. And if you go down this ladder right here, it actually contains some beds. You can set your spawn point here. In case you die, you can come back and retrieve your stuff easily and continue fighting on. Here's another resupply chest. This is a pretty decent loot. It has protection as well as some nice efficiency tools. Here we even got some diamond gear with protection on it. And a lot of the nicer gear has these chiseled copper beside them. This one's full of some enchanted books as well as diamond axe. This one even gave an enchanted golden apple. There's a few different types of loot. There's corridor loot, so this is what you could typically expect from that. And there's also entrance loot. There's also intersections, which provide some of the coolest loot, being diamond stuff and even emerald blocks. There's also intersection barrels, which gives kind of mediocre stuff a lot of gold tools. There's also rewards, so reward chests are also very nice. They're the ones that can give the enchanted golden apples. And then there is the supply ones. These give like the regen potions and the strength potions, and also arrows with effects. And the decorative pots give completely different loot, which is mostly precious stuff, including the new trial key. There's also quite a bit of variety. Now they did say that the loot isn't finalized, so they are looking for feedback on what type of loot should be inside these containers. Look at this crazy amethyst here that completely broke into this chamber here. Left the buttons floating and also left the chest in there, but everything else is missing. Now chambers coming to a dead end is a known issue with these structures at the moment, as well as aquifers, lush caves, and the skulk veins interfering with them. What other questions you guys have about the new trial chamber structure? Now the trial spawners themselves will react to how many players are around in the area before they activate. So if you have a whole bunch of people, they're going to make the spawner produce more mobs, making it more challenging. But if you defeat the entire thing, that means the reward's also going to be bigger as well. You can see what the spawner looks like when it's normally activated. It has little orange corners, little eyes are also lit up on these little faces on the side, and there's particles coming out the top, kind of like fire particles. What makes the trial spawners different than normal spawners is that they're only going to spawn in a limited number of mobs before they go on cooldown. They also can spawn in mobs no matter what light level it is, so spamming these places in with torches isn't going to stop them from spawning. And they can only spawn mobs at the positions that are within line of sight. Mobs that they do spawn in are also persistent, meaning they have a persistence required of 1, so they can't despawn even if you leave the area. And they also won't count towards the mob count. You can't use the spawners to make a peaceful mode switch. Now these spawners are really tough. You can't like blow them up with TNT or anything, and they're really difficult to actually break as well, just like reinforced deep slate. They don't want people to really break these. That way other players can always come into this same structure and have fun with this exact same challenge here while getting rewards from the spawner, even if the chests are all looted. And even if you would break this with Silk Touch, it wouldn't actually drop any items in survival. But in creative mode, you can place down these spawners, which they don't have any mobs in by default, but then you can right click spawn eggs in it. So I just made one that produces parrots. Okay guys, we're going to have to fight all the parrots before we get our reward. Now also notice when you go into creative mode or spectator mode, the spawners don't actually turn on for those players, only if you're in survival. That way you can't accidentally activate them while designing a cool map. The trial spawner is quite unique. Do you like how it works? Speaking of likes, leave a like on the video. Let's go ahead and see if we can kill off all the mobs from one of these spawners. And it looks like we completed actually 2 of them. So this one up here gave us some food, being the glowberries. You can see when it's completed, it turns gray again. The little eyes no longer light up and the corners are no longer lit up as well. And it has this little plume of smoke coming out showing that it is currently on cooldown. The spawner cooldown lasts 30 minutes. So if you make farms out of this, they only work every 30 minutes, which is one of the downsides to trying to farm up mobs from them. You can actually see this cooldown while looking at the data within the spawn. You can also see stuff like how long between spawns, what it's going to try to spawn in, and how much of them they're going to try to spawn in, being the weight, and also what type of a loot can be dropped from it. Saying this one will drop consumables, how much loot it will drop, but it can also drop the key, as well as how many mobs they're going to put out and how many they're going to increase it per the players that were in the area when it got activated. But this one over here gave us a new item called the trial key. And you can get multiple of these keys and they do stack. Now currently it doesn't seem like there's any use for this trial key. There's no special information about it when you look at its data. So maybe it's going to be used to actually open up a special chest that is locked. Because in Minecraft there is such thing as locked chests. They normally can't open up unless you have a special item that has a tag which allows you to unlock it. And these type of chests have been in the game for a long time. They're just never really used when it came to survival. So it would be really cool to see if they use a key for this type of situation. So you can access a super rare and maybe one that's full of a lot of loot. What do you think about this idea? So the spawners, when it comes to the consumable loot, you can see it's a lot of food. We also got pearls, emeralds, and tons of different types of potions. And when it comes to the key loot, it's just keys that it drops. Of course, let's not forget about the new breeze mob, which is this crazy looking mob. It's very cunning, as well as a hostile mob that can be found in here. They have their very own spawners, and they are aggressive, where they will shoot a violent wind energy in the form of a wind charge projectile at its target. You can see these zooming through the air, and when they collide, they'll do a little bit of damage as well as knock back anything in the area. If they miss you, then all they will do is just do some knockback, pushing anything away from the area where they hit. I think that's really cool how they actually have like a pushing effect without actually having to even collide with the player. Kind of like how TNT can blow you away even if you're not directly on top of the TNT. And they also move differently, where they'll do leaping around the target, sometimes jumping at quite long distances just to avoid the player. Wow, look at that. Just jumps right up and zooms through the air. Now the wind charge can also activate different kind of redstone components. So like non-iron doors and trapdoors get flipped. Here he's activating this dispenser, which is throwing out some charges, and it actually did start me on fire. They can also flip open fence gates, as well as buttons can be pressed, levers can be flipped, bells can be rung and swung, and candles as well as ones on cakes can be extinguished, which is really cool. So you can have a happy birthday where the breeze blows out your candles for you. Now their wind burst won't have any effect on iron doors or iron trap doors, or if something's already being powered by a redstone signal. So it doesn't seem like to actually turn on and off these copper bulbs throughout the structure. Not that the lights actually affect the spawning at all. And this breeze activated this button that was over here, which activated this bucket of water and dispenser, kind of flooding the room, making a very challenging fight indeed. And these wind charges are considered a new entity, and you can actually see they have a hitbox, very similar to like a blaze projectile. Think of all the cool things you could do with the breeze's redstone mechanic. So the breeze itself isn't that deadly, but it's really annoying. It makes it difficult to take on all the other mobs. Now I have to say, just messing around with the breeze here, it is super annoying the way it just keeps moving around. And the gist of this is going to make it challenging even for veteran players, just because the breeze hops around all over the place. It's very difficult to get it down and kill it. Now the breeze does have more health than most hostile mobs, being 30, but the player only has like 20. Now it does seem like the breeze is immune to arrows. The skeleton is trying to hit this breeze because they got mad at it, and it's actually just reflecting them back at it. So it's kind of like having invulnerable ender crystals, but they just completely ricochet. Let's go ahead and kill it with a looting sword, and currently don't look like it actually drops any unique items. But we did get some XPs. They do have a really cool spawn egg that's like purplish. So let me know all the questions you guys have about the breeze so I can answer them in a future video. I know I'm really excited for the breeze. Are you? What I'm also excited about is that we reached 380,000 subscribers. Thank you all who did that single click, as it really helps me out. Now the snapshot also comes out with some other changes, like they updated the data pack version to version 24. And they also increased the maximum value from the jigsaw structure, so it can have a variable size up to 20 now. Resource packs also got updated to version 21, which has the new Unifont version. Light bulbs got some functionality change. So typically when you're in a hole and you close it up, it's completely dark. But with the copper bulb, it actually lets it light through, but it doesn't let it through like you would a glass block. Instead, it diffuses light, meaning as you go downwards, the light becomes less and less and less. It's not directly letting the skylight through. This is similar to other things like ice, where it gets darker as you go downwards. How this diffusing of skylight would apply actually to quite a few blocks in the past, like redstone ore when it was lit up, as well as redstone lamp when it lit up, but they actually removed these functions. And today they also removed the copper bulbs function for letting light through. So now the copper bulbs can be like any other block, completely blocking off all light going through it. So beacon light won't go through them either. They also improved the look of copper balls. Before, they would show up with the water along the side of them. You can kind of see that's flowing through there. They're kind of ugly compared to the top. So going forward, you won't have to see this ugliness. And they also removed this bug here, where you can see the inside pieces of the copper block, despite it being completely encased in other blocks. This is called calling, and this essentially allows it so your computer doesn't have to render all these different surfaces that make up the entire world of Minecraft. So this calling problem will also be fixed. They also fixed some inconsistencies with copper grades, and that has to do with spawning. When it came to the normal copper grade, mobs couldn't spawn on it, but if you would wax it, then all of a sudden mobs could spawn on it. So they removed spawning for the oxidized versions as well as the wax version. Although I do see there is a problem with the wax grades here not being called when they are waxed compared to unwaxed. And you can actually visually see which ones are the wax versions compared to the unwaxed ones. And mobs shouldn't spawn on these because they are supposed to be like glass. And because of that, they also fixed this problem where mobs could suffocate in them if they were a wax variation of them. So now the wax, the oxidize, and all the rest will work the same, very similar to glass. Speaking of spawning, they also resolved the problem with drowns inside of spawners. You can make these in creative by just having a spawner and right clicking on it with a spawn egg. But the problem was that because the game seen it as drowns, they were making sure that they would only spawn in if the biome could normally spawn in drowns, so it only worked like in rivers and oceans. But now with this fix, these spawners can put them into any type of biome. I feel like this next bug they already fixed like 4 or 5 times over the years. This has to do with compasses and clocks working without you actually having to craft them. Before they would actually work here in the recipe thing or up here, but now you can still put them in the crafting grid and they work over here. So you can see this compass is pointing that direction. You can see this clock here is showing the actual correct time where this one doesn't. And they didn't want people to like cheat by using these type of devices without actually wasting the materials. And it also turns out with the new crafters, you can place in the items in there and the clock will actually work in those as well. So they went ahead and removed this cheating method in both these. Now typically when you smack stuff like minecarts and boats while in creative mode, they just vanish. But for some reason, the TNT minecart wasn't this way. When you would actually break it down, it would drop the item. So to prevent tons of items in your worlds, they went ahead and gave it the same features as all the other ones where they'll just vanish when you break them in creative. Now you might notice that your saved hotbars are all missing in the last snapshot, as well as loading up your multiplayer servers. There was no information here. That's because files with .nbt as well as .dat files could not actually load in this version. This was also causing Minecraft raids to not work. And now all those will work once again. And they fixed a few other technical related bugs. Minecraft also came out with an official Minecraft server list, and with the list you can find Bedrock as well as Java multiplayer servers. If you remember back in the day, there were sites that just had loads and loads of different Minecraft server IPs, and you just kind of scroll through them and choose whichever one you want to play on. Well, that's kind of what Minecraft is doing, but they're making their own official list. And Minecraft partnered with GamerSafer to do this. It takes it to their website where you can choose different categories. Let's do content creators. So you can see some servers from content creators, like there's iJevin and there's SB737. And just like those other Minecraft list of servers, there's a way you can vote for your server. But for servers to be qualified for Minecraft's official list, there is some requirements. Server has to follow the Minecraft usage guidelines, which are the somewhat recent guidelines that explain stuff like how you can use the Minecraft name and what commercial use can be done. You also need to fill out this form, just some basic information about your server, as well as make some server rules, and these badge logos indicate if servers have completed these steps. Now there's also some non-required badges that can be acquired, such as if your server is upgraded to version 1.19.1 or later and has it so you enabled player abuse reporting. That's where you can report people from inside of Minecraft. And there's also a badge related to safety, making sure that your moderators have 2-factor authentication so their accounts don't get like hacked or impersonated. On top of that, you would have to go through and actually add this plugin onto your server. So it might not be for vanilla servers. And other things like people have to have their account verified and make sure people that are joining are 13 years or older. But other than that, it really just feels like other Minecraft lists where you can organize servers by different categories, like you can have your prison servers or your minigame servers. What do you think of Minecraft having this official list? And do you think I should try to get my servers added to it? I do have a supporter server for all people that support me either on Patreon, Discord membership, YouTube membership, or as a Twitch sub. But the downside is I do vanilla related things on there, where mostly servers are heavily modded, which has the perk that they can deal with new players more easily. Where like my testing server is just vanilla and we just load up the snapshot and we just play with the new features as a group. So it might be kind of weird to have people join that server without even knowing who I am or what we're doing on it. But I would love to hear what you guys think. During the Minecraft Monthly, they gave us our first look at what armadillos are going to look like in-game. This is concept art, so they haven't actually built the models. You can see they look very squarish like the other Minecraft mobs. They got their little rings that they're known for, and they even have some in different shades of color. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get the crab's claw, but we'll have to make do with the armadillos of wolf armor. What do you guys think of it? Now join my testing server, which is open to all my viewers, as we explore all these cool changes, and I live stream the whole experience on my Twitch channel, which you can find the link to down in the description. And swing past my Discord to get all the information on the server, and I will see you guys all over there. Bye bye!